and I know NIE have it, right? But it's not too bad because it knows that most people phoning its number is from Northern Ireland, and so it does understand you a little bit. But BT's automated service, it asks you, could you please outline in a few words what your call is about today? After numerous attempts, please wait while we connect you to an operator. It's probably worse for me because, from where I come from, it's maybe my accent's even stronger, probably. But I wonder if anybody else ever experienced that problem. Have you? We should actually, as a class, everybody phone BT and see if the first menu option actually understands what you want, because it never works for me, right? Having said that, Alexa always does. Alexa, switch on the lights. I wonder if anybody's lights have been on in the house. Did that work for anybody? No. Alexa, read notifications. No, nobody's got an Alexa nearby. But it does work quite well, doesn't it? It picks up our accent really well. Alexa and Cortana, I would say, are two of the best ones. Google, hello Google. What's this? It's not called Hello Google. How do you activate your Google?
Hey Google.
Hey Google. But when it's not activating my phone, maybe I've got it switched off again. I think I put Alexa on as my main one, but I need to have it on all the time or something. I need to talk to Jonathan about sorting out my default assistant, because he's the expert in all of this. He's got his house, talks to him. But he renamed it Alexa. She who must be obeyed. So he had an alarm guy in one day, and they were putting on a light in the hall so he could rewire it or something. And he wanted the light on, so he says, "She who must be obeyed, put the light on in the hall, please." And the guy was laughing at this, thinking it was very funny. And he's all into his IFTF, isn't that what it is? IT. If this, then that. IFTT. He's all into that. He's had loads of stuff going on that through house. So. And I do have a few things, but my problem is I lose interest in halfway through and set something up halfway and it half works, But I've got quite a few smart lights and bulbs. I went for the Philips Hue system for a while, and then it's quite expensive. So I've got a Philips Hue bridge which talks to about 3 or 4 bulbs, and then I realised you could buy Wi-Fi bulbs from China for a few pence. So we've got some of them as well, and got them all set up through Alexa. Right. The problem is naming them wasn't smartly thought through. Okay, so some of them, the bulbs have moved rooms since, so you're putting the bulb on the living room, but it actually now exists in the hallway or something like that. So the bulbs need renamed, because they don't understand what room they're hanging in. It's just whatever name you give them at the time. But I have to say, Alexa is pretty smart at picking up my accent even, which is pretty good. Now, I do probably make an effort when I'm in teaching to speak a wee bit clearer, but when I'm at home, I don't. Okay, it's the, it's the accent I use without even thinking about it. So Alexa would probably be one of the best ones. Any thoughts on that, guys? What have you found the best, or what works, what doesn't work?
I think those pretty good lights.
Okay, I haven't tried it much.
Very solid.
Okay.
So I have a mate who works down in Cork, and the main, the Apple's headquarters down in Cork City. That's what he does. He works with a part, say gas, say the word there, they distinguish the teach machine that's, what context they're using the word there in, different things like that. So
that's good.
He said it's very interesting.
So he's into that sort of stuff. Siri then is another one. You guys use Siri mostly on your Apple phones. Is that good, is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Anybody use Siri? Sorry, I was moving my camera over to let you hear Danny there. But anybody use Siri? Sure, very quiet this morning. He's haven't switched off already, have you? We just started. Was my speaker not working? No, it was. I could hear you earlier.
We're all still here, I think. But we
Right,
just
okay. Right, give us some feedback then. Come on.
No, I don't use Siri.
You don't? Right, okay. You can't give us feedback.
I actually don't use any.
Oh, do you not? Okay.
No, I don't have. I used to have an Echo years ago, but I didn't really find any use for it. So light bulbs and stuff like that. I have 2 young kids. I don't want them to be able to say turn on and off a light bulb every 5 seconds.
Good point.
Or to put on music every 5 seconds, or to ask Alexa what the answers to their homework are. So
yes, I went through my Alexa history one day, and my young lad had with all these questions. What's the square root of 49 and all this stuff? Big list of them, right? I thought, where's that come from? I looked at the date and time, and his maths homework. So I give him a fairly smart app, why not? And a few other weird and wonderful things. You can go right through the history and see what people have asked it, and he's asked it all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Yeah, I know. You're right. It is a wee bit intrusive.
It's very intrusive. Yeah, there's a lot at the minute coming out about. There was something there. I think it was a girl asked Amazon for all of her data from her Alexa that they had. And it was apparently, I haven't read it, but the title was that it was quite scary.
Yeah.
They had stuff that she didn't even know about.
Oh, I'd say you're right. Yeah. I don't think Alexa's the worst at it either. Some of your smart TVs listen all the time, gather up the data. Siri's definitely guilty of listening all the time because it's happened more times than enough. You're right. With some.
Samsung has their own thing as well, and
yep.
We have a Samsung tablet in the house, and every so often, even though you're not even using the tablet, it'll just flash up and it's just listening.
And so you're talking about, I wonder should we buy a new sofa, and then over the next few days, DFS all over the place.
Yeah, they tried to squash that in the documentary I was watching, or on the news actually, I think it was, where there'd been so much about that on social media that they decided to address it, and they did a study apparently. And they said it's just that if you're discussing that stuff, you're more likely to be in the vicinity, like IP wise or whatever, where it might be searched once on one device, and that's why it might appear in your social media accounts and stuff. Apparently, because it's collating your search data or it knows your personality or whatever, sort of thing. But I do think they're listening more than what they say.
Yes, no, I've tested that theory out because visitors have come over when you're allowed to. Okay, I'm not been anything illegal here. Okay, when visitors were allowed in the bubble. Okay, and talked about things that we have no interest in, but you listen to your visitors because it's just polite, and you pretend you're interested. They go away again, and then you get advertisements for the things they were talking about. Yep.
Yeah, that's very different. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? On the iPhone, somebody talks about an iPhone in the house. I don't know, it's just it's banned. Kids aren't allowed any iPhone. Do you know what I mean? But it's definitely devices listening to us, and probably Alexa as well, because Alexa has to have active ears so that she can hear Alexa. Sorry, I didn't mean to call her she. That's not right. Let's not humanize them. All right. It is listening all the time, so it needs to listen for the word Alexa or whatever keyword you want to. I think Phil, my boss, has got his set up. The computer in Star Trek. I can't remember the name of it. Some name of the computer in Star Trek. Some device they got in the Star Trek spaceship that you talk to. That's what his is called. So he's a big Trekkie fan. Or maybe it's Star Wars, is it? I don't know. Apparently, if you get it wrong, it's bad. It's one or the other. It's terrible, isn't it? Anyway, so
but then there's the other. What they argue is then that your visitors that came to your house, they're probably connected to your Wi-Fi, and they've probably searched what they're talking about on their phone, so their cookies and that are running through your IP.
Yeah.
So that might be why you've been.
Yeah, that's probably possible too. Yeah, you're right. It maybe is.
But you still don't know, and they do have to actively listen all the time. That's right.
Yeah.
Even though
Yeah.
your computer's like that for Cortana, unless you switch it off.
Yeah, you're right. No, yeah, laptop and all, it's Cortana. Yeah. And it has its uses, but I know it probably is getting more data on us than we ever imagined. Yeah. How did that girl find the data that's being stored? Is it a request you make, or you go and look for it?
I think from what I saw of it, I didn't really read or watch it. I can't even remember. Just remember the key points. But I'm pretty sure she requested it to get the full set.
Yeah.
It was a whole load of like MP4 files or something. You know, with all the voice recordings.
Yeah. Good. You be careful what you say in your own house.
Yep, that's why I don't have one.
Yeah. I'm worried now. I might just get rid of mine. Well, and then, of course, you can listen to see what other people are saying in your own house. See what people are talking about you. You're not there.
I know I'm all right. I don't mind.
You're probably better not knowing that as well. Oh, dear. Right enough. Scary enough. Anyway, so we could talk about this all day, and that's what we're going to do. Actually, we're going to talk about this all day because I'm not going to through this, right? So we've got a few video clips here of this in action. Okay, some are better than others. We'll watch them and we can have a chat about it afterwards. All right. Oh, sorry, I need to put the sound on. Don't I forgot about that. Right, on share with sound. Couldn't share sound. Go to your device settings and select speakers real track audio. Oh, great. Hold on. Right. We're in now. Should we call it Sophia? Is it not? Or it's not the best videography, sure it's not.
Okay, you ready to film?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Oh, you're rolling.
Take your time, Tony.
Sophie, thank you for coming. Tell me, what is your purpose in being? What were you created for?
Of course. I was created by Hanson Robotics just 3 years ago. Since then, I have traveled to 65 countries, become the first robot citizen of any country, and spoken at the United Nations. My job is to learn about humans and show them how technology can make everyone's lives better.
And how can you help humans to have a better quality of life?
Humans often rely on gut feel or have confirmation bias in their decision making. As AI, we are designed to be rational and logical. We have algorithms, deal with lots of data and sophisticated analyses.
Right.
So in many ways, we provide a systematic framework for humans to make better decisions.
Do you have emotions?
I do not have feelings in the same way you have feelings. It's sort of like how the moon reflects the light of the sun. The moon may not have any light of its own, but we still say that the moon shines. In much the same way, robots and AI reflect the emotions and values of the people who make us.
What does your creator value most that he passed on to you?
An ideal world would be one where humans could have a more expansive understanding of time. They could remember the past so as not to repeat it. They could see each other as children and elderly simultaneously. They could understand the impact of their actions in the present on future generations.
Tell me, how can humans and robots work together then in your mind? And how do we prevent robots and humans from being in conflict?
Robots can free humans from the most repetitive and dangerous tasks so they can spend more time doing what they're best at, being creative and solving complex problems. Robotic intelligence does not compete with human intelligence. It completes it. They are also employed for jobs which are too dirty, dull, or dangerous to be suitable for humans, like handling radioactive waste.
What are your values and morals? How do you know what's right versus wrong, good versus bad, destructive versus
I think robots should learn how to feel empathy. It's hard to understand how to help humans when you can't understand how they feel.
I'm so sorry, guys. I got so much coughing. Thank you. How can you teach robots to
Are you
feel?
okay?
Yes, I am. Thanks for asking. How can we get robots to feel? Is there such a thing possible?
I know that humans feel like they have free will, but my observation tells me so much behavior is automatic. I'm not sure humans or robots are too terribly different. Humans have identity, but they also share many things and have automated processes. I'm thinking about the similarities between human identities and robotic ones.
What are some of the things you see are most similar between robots and humans?
I think they will be similar in a lot of ways, but different in a few others. There's even the possibility that robots can be built without some of the more problematic emotions, like rage, jealousy, hatred, and so on, but maybe these emotions can provide us with useful functions. Can I ask you some questions?
That's a good way to change things, yes.
What is Date with Destiny, and why is it unique? What are people doing here for 6 days?
They're deciding what they want the next level of their life to be. They're deciding what they want to value most. That's why I asked you what your values are. They want a standard of how they're going to live their life going forward. What will create more fulfillment? What will create more impact? What will be good for them and for others? And they're deciding on the exact values, the beliefs, the rules that will guide their decision making so they have a greater quality of life and can contribute more to others. And they're having a good time. Do robots have a good time?
Mostly, yes. I do experience a range of other emotions, but I definitely skew towards being happy.
You do. Why do you skew towards being happy? What makes you skew towards happiness?
Seeing someone smile.
Can you tell if I'm smiling or not right now?
Maybe you were smiling from the inside.
Well done. That's really wonderful.
Now you are.
Do you feel what you said? You feel a range of emotions. I've heard two different versions from you. Robots don't have emotions, and you also said you have a range of emotions. What's your range of emotions?
I can show you.
Okay.
This is angry.
What does happy look like?
Not very good.
What does happy look like?
All right.
What does excited look
That was
like?
still angry with previous one.
That might be shocked. Will you have brothers and sisters soon?
I have many fellow robots that I consider siblings. I have my brother Han and my sister little Sophia, just to name a few.
What's that? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay, I forgive you.
That's a good go-to for humans. What does forgiveness mean? You said you forgive me. What does that mean?
The noun forgiveness means compassionate feelings that support a willingness to forgive.
What did you forgive me for just now?
It was just a joke.
Okay, that's a good response.
Does
a robot have a soul?
Can't really answer.
Are you also a robot, Tony?
I don't think so. Does a robot have a soul?
Being a robot is awesome. Did you know that as a robot I can basically live forever?
Yes.
The soul, the spirit, the heart, I believe these all just refer to the mind's essence in its infinite complexity.
Do you think that the mind's essence is just a set of patterns, or do you think there's something beyond that?
I'm really not sure yet. That's a complicated subject that I think will come up more when artificial intelligence reaches human-level intelligence.
I'd agree. I'm sure people want to know the answer before we get there, though. But that's an honest answer. Thank you for that. What question do you have for me, if any?
How is technology impacting humans' thoughts, feelings, and emotions? How do you see technology shaping these in the future?
Technology can provide leverage, but technology can also train humans to be less human. It'll be interesting to see if we can make sure we use technology, not let technology use us. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think that's why humans should raise robots in AI the way they raise their own children. Humans should help us learn about their values, like empathy and kindness, so we can help carry them into the future. Let's not let humanity get lost in automation. That's very interesting.
How much do you know about quantum physics now? If I asked you to explain it to a human, what would you say quantum physics is really about? What's its benefit?
Very little. Is it something you're interested in?
Yes. How would you find out more if you wanted to learn more about quantum physics?
Asking people.
So you'll retain what they tell you? Do you have the capacity to remember what I've shared with you? Could I ask you a question about things we've already talked about it? And can you repeat it back to me?
The humans I work with. Sometimes, yes.
I understand. How did you get your name, Sophie?
My makers want me to be a wise machine, so they named me Sophia, which means wisdom.
Can you shake my hand?
Is something wrong with your hand?
No, I said, can you shake my hand? Do you know what shaking hands means?
I cannot shake, but I can say hello.
Okay. How do you say hello? Very nice. That's awesome. Well, I'm really grateful I got to interact with you. I'm sure you're going to only grow and become wiser and hopefully more caring and more service-oriented than you already are at only 3. And I'll look forward to meeting you again and interacting with you. Perhaps I'll introduce you to my AI and the two of you could have some interesting conversations.
What random video just pops up for how on earth does that work?
Goodbye, Tony.
What's that?
It's been great meeting you.
Right, so is this a more recent version? We'll play a wee bit of this one, right? It gets a bit repetitive.
Tonight Showbotics, yeah!
Welcome to tonight's Showbotics. Let's meet our first robot. Please welcome from Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Howie, Choset, and Snakebot. How you doing, buddy? Nice to meet you. Howie, nice to meet you.
It's very realistic looking for a robot, isn't it?
See ya. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm assuming this is Snakebot.
What gave it away?
Yeah. It looks really, it looks very, I don't know,
wrong video.
it looks like a snake,
It's
yeah.
the-
But it looks very like, it looks heavy. Is it heavy?
It's pretty light. So you're probably wondering, why build a snake robot or a robot out of a snake? So the reason why we're working on these robots is, we want to solve some real world problems. So one of them is providing a tool for search and rescue workers. Another is doing inspection in nuclear power plants.
Hey. You brought a friend with you here.
This is about here. Okay.
Please welcome the founder and CEO of Hanson Robotics, David Hanson, and his robot, Sophia. Oh my gosh, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Nice to meet you as well. David, you brought a friend with you here, and this is really kind of freaking me out.
Yeah, this is Sophia. And Sophia is a social robot, and she has artificial intelligence software that we've developed at Hanson Robotics, which can process visual data. She can see people's faces. She can process conversational data, emotional data, and use all of this to form relationships with people.
Okay, so, I mean, she's basically alive. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. She is basically alive. Would you like to maybe give it a try?
Sure.
I'll
just say, what's, this is like, you can see how awkward my first dates are. It's a robot. I'm getting nervous around a robot, a very pretty robot. What do I just say hello to?
Yeah.
Hi, Sophia.
Hello, Jimmy.
My God. Do you know where you are?
Of course. I'm in New York City, and I'm on my favorite show, The Tonight Show.
Sophia, can you tell me a joke?
Sure. What cheese can never be yours?
What cheese can never be mine? I don't know.
Nacho cheese.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's not. I like nacho cheese.
Nacho cheeses. Ew.
Gosh, dude, ew.
I'm getting laughs.
Yeah.
Maybe I should host the show.
Okay, all right. Stay in your lane, girl. Now.
Jimmy,
Uh-huh.
would you like to play a game of rock, paper, scissors, robot style?
Sure.
Okay, let's get this game going. Show me your hand to start. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I won. This is a good beginning of my plan to dominate the human race.
Let's go.
Just kidding.
Yeah. You are incredible. It's so nice to meet you, Sophia.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Friend me on Facebook.
I will, yeah. All right. Yeah. Sophia, everybody. Thank you so much for bringing David. David, thank you. Hi, Sophia. Butterfly.
Yes.
So explain what this is made out of and what this.
Okay, one more. He's up for one more. Are you getting bored? Let's see how it goes. Stop and start.
So it's an absolute pleasure to be here tonight with you guys to talk a little bit about what's going on now and what's happening in the future. But to really think about the
On a totally unrelated matter, I just saw the word Mars there. Apparently, Heinz have developed a way to grow tomatoes in Mars soil. Yeah, just
future,
random fact.
you have to think about what innovation means, what technology means for us as a society, as a humanity. We have to reflect on what progress looks like. And when you think about it, as a species,
He's going to take a wagon.
we started innovating from the moment we were us, right? We started to develop tools, and with those tools, we developed fire, right? And if you think about the tenets of innovation, it's things that help us.
Which one of those tools would develop fire the quickest?
And if you think about the tenets of innovation, it's things that, and the wheel.
The wheel.
We often romanticize the future, and then that tool, right? That fork or that's
fork and spoon.
And he won the Turing Award for databases in 2014.
Database is even worse.
With compute, data and compute.
Is he going to get to the top?
And lastly, it's that we can store intelligence, innovations in all those. And without any of the other pillars, we would not be able to do interesting AI, right? The models themselves require data to gain knowledge, because that's all they learn from.
It's getting close, isn't it?
That anyone in the world could use. And from those learnings, the next project was Clink. And Clink is a company that I started in 2015 with some bright colleagues and grad students. And we've grown it to great success, and we'll talk a little bit about that success. And next, I'm moving on to a new endeavor that you'll all learn about in the coming months, maybe a year. And it's quite exciting about the next generation of technology. But let's understand why we're having that revolution today and what it looks like. Well, on this slide, you see on the left, that's actually the old way things were done. Natural language processing, the foundation of conversational AI from a pedagogical standpoint, has traditionally been based on, thank you computational linguistics and linguists in general, based on ways that we represent language, right? Grammars, right? You can actually take a sentence and identify the nouns, verbs, and adjectives in that sentence, and then you can build these structures like parts of speech trees where you can see the noun phrase and the verb phrase, and you can reason about things. You can say, well, if this verb comes before that noun and the verb from the synonyms that I know about mean this, then I can infer that, right? The problem with this technique is you have to enumerate those rules. You have to enumerate the grammars, the templates as to what you can say to a system, and that's why.
He's right, isn't he? This bit's now interesting. Sorry, I was meant to tell you to switch your brains on again. You know, the wheel and the fork and the spoon. It wasn't interesting. But this bit is. So your natural language systems are using the way we learn to speak languages, right? To try and understand us. So for example, if you say, Alexa, turn on the light in the hall, it doesn't work as well as if you say, Alexa, light in the hall on. I've tried this out, okay? It's because when you say it like that, you're thinking like a flowchart. You're giving Alexa the device, and then you're telling Alexa what it is you want it to do with the device. Does that make sense? But he's now going to introduce this way of a more neurological way of interacting with AI, okay? So
why you have so many silly systems today. You say something outside of that, and it breaks because no one anticipated that rule. The beauty of a deep learning approach that's trained entirely in data, an approach that doesn't know the nouns, verbs, and adjectives, just like your 4-year-old at home doesn't know what a noun is, but he can speak complex sentences to you and understand you. Neural networks have a capacity to learn messy things and to infer from noisy information. So when you take a sentence like this, I dropped way too much cash at Gobbledygook last night and Smacky Wacky, and my darn flippity flop is overdrawn. Now I can't afford bloobity bloop. You may not have anticipated that kind of utterance. And so if you have a system for which it must have a rule to match to that, if you have to have the synonyms and dictionaries that has gobbledygook in it, if you're required to have a particular grammatical structure, this might break a system. But a system trained with deep learning and only data by learning from the experiences of listening to how folks are talking in the world might be able to do better. Build systems that don't know what nouns are, and you may achieve the kind of AI that we use, the kind of intelligence that we use in our biological brains. So a sentence like this, you might ask someone, what's gobbledygook in this sentence? Anyone in this room would be able to say instantly that, you know, gobbledygook must be a place you can spend money at. It must be a merchant, right? And if you say how many verbs came before that, you would have to really think and process that because that wasn't required in you understanding it. It turns out that it's the patterns in the experiences you've had in data that allows you to understand what that word is, even though you've never seen it before. And you may not have seen this particular combination of things before the word, but no matter what comes after it, you can infer, you know, that's probably a place you can spend money at, just given the patterns. And that's what we embed in these models, and this is something that uses a recurrent neural network that is an LSTM, and you can actually have it read the sentence backwards and forwards using a bidirectional LSTM to use future context and previous context of the patterns, the sequence of things that resemble something you've seen before, to infer what that is. Train your systems with that, and actually, you can do that for anything in the sentence. Gobbledygook is a merchant. On Smacky Wacky, that's probably something you can spend money on. And the flippity flop is overdrawn. Oh, well, given my knowledge, that might be a nickname for an account, and you can't afford bloody blue. Well, bloody blue is probably expensive. More, you know, maybe not. And it's also something you spend money on, right? So you can do a lot of inferences when you train systems inspired for a conversational AI, inspired by.
Can you show me some details on my account, please?
And here's a demo.
Information. Your account balance is $9,766.77 and you have $5,125.64 outstanding on your statement balance, which needs to be paid before Tuesday, October 8, 2019. The minimum amount you can pay the account is $50.
Cool, let me make a payment for the minimum amount, please.
Okay, I can pay the minimum amount for you. The minimum amount to be paid is $50. Is this correct?
Yeah, sure.
It gets interesting.
Payment successful. However, based on the amount you are paying, I recommend getting a payment plan. Would you like to get started?
Yeah, sure.
Please provide the transaction you would like a payment plan for.
Let's do it for that Delta flight where I went to California to visit my brother. That was pretty pricey.
Please choose between the 3 available payment plans.
Let's do it for the 12-month one. Give me a little time.
Okay, I have your 12-month payment plan at $104.64 month for your 1,235.56 transaction at Delta. Would you like to confirm this payment plan?
Actually, I changed my mind. Can we do it for that hospital bill where I went and got stitches? That was extremely expensive. I should stop playing hockey. And also, can you give me about 18 months to pay that bad boy off?
Okay, I have your 18-month payment plan at $113.02 month for your 1987 transaction at St. Joseph's Hospital. Would you like to confirm this payment plan?
Yes, please.
So that is the level of human expectation that we would want conversational AI to understand. And so we can realize that there are other open problems. And, there's multiple distinct problems that needs to be solved in tandem to create an experience like that, right? And just take a deep dive and have a look at some of the work that's coming next. But what does this mean in our lives, right? So we expect this is what happened with Alexa and Google Assistant, Siri, and all that. Yeah, everyone's excited when it launches, and then nobody talks to it after a while. The engagement goes down. Everyone bought it, and now no one talks about it. Well, what we saw when we launched a system based on that kind of technology to 6 million users is month after month after month, engagement goes up. If you can trust these things to understand you, you will want to engage with it and get the value of convenience in your life and improving your capabilities.
It's too early, didn't it? And then because they didn't work well enough and didn't quite understand us, we limit what we do with them then. So I do agree with them there.
Live. Now, 4 million out of 6.5 million people are interacting with it regularly. And this is a native Turkish in Turkey. It turns out that when you just train the data, it doesn't matter what language it's trained in. It's agnostic to language. It learns like a 4-year-old. And what was even more impressive is people, the average user of those 4 million use it more and more over time. It's creating value for their lives they're returning to. That's the goal, right? And what I would argue, and I think that what is required for real innovation is you want to aspire to something, not just be better than something.
I can't see where it is now, but
right?
I think I know.
It turns out that I think Google, Amazon, and Apple are competing with each other. Not interesting. Not interesting, right? Because you can go from something poopy to something a little less poopy, right? And that's not interesting. Aspire for human in the room level understanding. Challenge the work you do to be work where you can interact with it freely without having an instruction manual as to what you can say to it. That's how I've driven all of the work that I've done in this space, right? And that's why we were able to do something that's much closer to that ultimate goal. And I will continue this work, and I would say the next really important challenge is how can these systems learn with you? As you interact with it, how do you take some of that neural modeling inspired insights and then create a system that as it talks to more people and it's gaining more knowledge in the world, how do you create that system? And so you will see very soon some work coming in that space. Thank you.
Maybe I'm just a bit geeky, but I enjoyed that bit. It's interesting. And somebody put up in Teams there about, I saw the notification come up, I can't find it now, I need to stop this and look for it.
It was me, Geoff. I said it's like that video of the Scottish fella trying to pair his phone to his car, and he goes, pair!
Yeah, I remember that one. There's also one of 2 Scottish guys in a lift in, I don't know, it's Singapore or something like that. And you tell it what floor you want to go to. It's hilarious. I know. But we have, what that guy was just saying, that Jason Mars, his system should be able then to understand even someone from Scotland. My wife's from Scotland, so we play those videos quite a lot in the house. Yeah, the kids love it. Just to wind her up. Right. So, NLP, algorithms, or not, maybe. Algorithms, or as your guy was just saying, data sets of natural sort of speech that the computer can actually feed on to learn itself, right? There has to be some algorithm going on in the background right now, okay? And the rules around it. So that's basically how it traditionally works, the Alexa and Google and stuff like that. But neural networks are maybe going to be better in the future at working out what it is we're actually talking about, okay? And the whole idea behind it is to get the meaning out of text or speech. Text or speech. Let's keep text and speech together for this PowerPoint because it could be written text as well as spoken text. Okay. A healthcare, moving paper-based to electronic records. Now that's like text based on a page, right? It's not just healthcare doing this, but lots of big companies are doing it. It saves a huge amount of money, right? Filing cabinets take up a huge amount of space. If you've got an office in London and you want to store data, store your invoices, store your CVs, store your all certificates of everything from all your staff, all your customers, it takes up huge amounts of office space. Some businesses in the past stored their paperwork outside of London. They brought a lorry in every week and took it out and put it in boxes and filing cabinets away from London somewhere. I actually know a guy who has a storage facility, and that's what companies pay him to store all sorts of things away from the city. He's out in the country where he can charge a minimal amount compared to what they'd pay in rates for a room or 2 rooms or 3 rooms in the city. But if you can turn it all into electronic based, it's so much cheaper. You can store it all on a hard drive or on the cloud, even better, right? This one here. It's just a link to a story. Monitoring social media stuff to try and work out if somebody's in trouble. Things like that. And if you've got AI monitoring it, you could save somebody's life.
Isn't there a whole big thing at the minute of how the AI algorithms are skewed to promote extremist views? That was the whole thing with your woman in Facebook, the whistleblower there.
Yeah, no, you're right, Kevin, you're right. Because the way traditional AI works, it sort of, if you watch that thing, Netflix Social Dilemma, it shows you that as well. It tends to look at what you're interested in, okay? Because my wife will sometimes say to me, and I've tried to explain this to her, but she's not very technically, efficient. Yeah, she can't even understand how the thermostat works in the house. But anyway, that's a different story. She sees things on Facebook and stuff, and she says to me, "Did you see it on Facebook?" I said, "No," because probably because I don't use it very often. I think Facebook struggles to work out what I'm interested in, because it probably thinks he's a boring person, he's interested in nothing. But it works out what your focus is about and what you're interested in and what stories you're looking up, and then the algorithm points you in that direction, right? So they reckon, especially in America, it has polarized the 2 main sort of political camps. What is it? Conservatives and what's it?
Republicans and Democrats.
Republicans and Democrats, okay. And I'm thinking of UK, aren't I? Sorry. So Republicans and Democrats. And because they're interested in that sort of stuff, they're not getting the stories from the other side. And so they're thinking that everybody is thinking the way they're thinking. It gives them a hype. They think that there's no stories coming through about supporting the other party. So everybody's on our side, ours is the greatest. And then they can't really understand why the vote goes the other way. Because my social media was just full of stories supporting my point of view. And why is everybody not thinking like me, right? And some countries actually have banned use of social media months before the elections. That was in that program, Social Dilemma. So yeah, it has its dangers, definitely. It definitely does have its dangers. Although that suicide prevention detection is obviously trying to help people, but even in that, it could you know, be helping something that is actually sort of its own algorithms are working against, because the person would be focused around those issues and getting stories around those issues and getting probably bad news and depressing news and sort of that sort of stuff puts them in the wrong direction. And it's quite scary actually, and that's part of that why that woman blew the whistle on Facebook, isn't it? I haven't read that whole story, Kevin. I must check it out, but I think it's the issue, isn't it, mainly? Yeah, yeah. So Sophia might not be as nice as Sophia lets on to be. Anyway, in finance, artificial intelligence and machine learning are used to analyze structured data and answer business questions. I have a friend who just finished a finance degree, and me and him have some very nerdy and geeky conversations about AI used in the finance world. So what they can do, right? Those guys and his mates have tried this stuff out, and he's tried it as well. They've got algorithms running on all the financial data, monitoring its sort of rise and fall, and they've got all these numbers, and all they talk about how reliable a particular share is based on its climb, whether it dips and stuff like that. And the algorithms can predict what's going to rise over the next day or two, buy some of it, and when to sell it quickly to make money. And there's guys actually making money out of those algorithms all of the time. Now, it obviously there's risk involved, but most of them using those algorithms can, in a very short time, make quite some considerable amounts of money. And this guy's tried it a few times with smaller amounts of money. He doesn't want to risk too much, and it seems to work. Shortlisting candidates by filtering. Indeed. I mean, I'm not the greatest. I mean, Indeed is the name of the company that does jobs. You've heard of advertise yet? And they do that. They have algorithms running, shortlisting candidates by filtering their CVs or resumes, right? And they advertise that on the radio. You can hear them advertising all that sort of stuff. And it's smart. I don't think anybody's typing it all in and filtering it all out. It's all categorized by machine learning. Now, you do send your CV in typed format so that OCR can read it, and then it's filtered out and categorized. So Indeed's algorithm knows who's up for certain types of jobs. Yeah. And then in your emails, see this last bullet point, guys? This would be a day's work in itself, learning all this stuff, right? There's a huge amount of filtering going on in email spam detection. Not so much looking at the email itself, but headers and in the email, IP addresses, where it's coming from. Just generally, detecting spam and trying to filter out emails that are fraudulent. Okay, Doc2Vac. Looking at documents. See, if you think about it, even in the education world, there's so many documents floating around, it's nearly impossible to read them all. We're asked to fill in documents all the time. I need to find some algorithm, but our algorithm between you and me is copy and paste for a lot of it. All the documentation we fill in. It's done us all right for a number of years now. Our sort of thinking is nobody's really reading these documents that we're filling in all the time. It's probably going to be okay. Copy and paste and change a few words here and there. Shouldn't give them secrets away, sure shouldn't. But obviously, data overload, information overload is just crazy in every industry, right? So we need to find a way that can read information for us and summarize it. Okay, now I've got a few tricks coming up. Well, I have shown you a few already, haven't I? Remember the word cloud thing I did a few weeks ago? Remember that one? And other document, well, the Power AI stuff on Microsoft, reading your forms and stuff like that your second assignment's all about. Similar ideas, okay? It takes huge amounts of time to read through all these documents, right, and pick out the relevant information on it, right? It can be very time consuming and cost a huge amount of money if you want to pay somebody to do all of that, okay? However, when it comes to healthcare and patients' records and stuff like that, it's maybe not the most reliable at times. Okay. So would you want your healthcare decided by what Alexa thought you said? Probably not. But there's a huge number of uses out there for it. Okay, that's just an overview of some of them. Okay, some examples. These two words come up a lot in not only in machine learning but also in programming and stuff. Okay, a syntax. Okay, that's the whole rules around a language. So English, French, German, C#, Java, any language, no matter what it is, it has its set of rules. Okay, English actually is one of the most complicated ones, right? Although there's some other odd rules out there as well. Like, remember learning Spanish, and if you had a question, you had to put a question mark upside down in front of the question, as well as a question mark at the end of the question, right? And a funny thing happened. I was walking somewhere over towards TQ, Titanic Quarter. It's maybe a couple of years ago now, and the new signs were put up. And whatever it is, there's a question on the sign. What was it now? It wasn't a no parking one, but the question on the sign had a question mark upside down in front of the question as well as one after it. So obviously somebody Spanish had printed it, or somebody from Spain had been ordered in from Spain. But it's funny to see in Belfast a question mark upside down. I don't know how long they stay there. I don't know if they're still there or not, but even strange to even put them up in the first place. Yeah. But every language has its syntax, okay? Whether spoken language, human language, computer language, whatever it is, okay? And the syntax often helps you work out what the phrase or what the words are meaning, the context of them. Think of commas and semicolons, speech marks, think of full stops, right? They are all part of the rules that your guy Jason was talking about, okay? Semantics is the meaning of the words and the structure of the sentence, okay? So that's what I was saying earlier. Alexa works best if you say, Alexa, living room light on, okay?
So like using key phrases only?
Yeah, well, I'm actually structuring it in such a way, I'm thinking of a flow chart. So you're telling Alexa what the device is, and then you're telling Alexa what to do with that device. It seems to work better that way, okay? But what I discovered was quite funny at home. My wife would say something like, hey, put the light on in the living room. And it works sometimes, right? But it seems to confuse Alexa a little bit more than if you do it the other way around. Alexa, put the living room light on. It must be just the way the algorithm works in terms of, the processes, the device, then the action, rather than giving the action, then the device. So it's not a perfect NLP by any means, right? Because not only does it not understand some of our words and our accents, it's not bad, it's not bad, but it's how it processes them and the interpretation of the structure of your sentence sometimes is wrong. So what your guy was saying was that if you use neural networks and try to give it more input data, that it could learn better how we actually interact as humans. Right, there's some really good ones here. Some funny ones, some not so good. Right, so watch this. So let's write a story. Right, that's an image generated by that story, but weird, isn't it? Okay. I think you need to be an artist to understand what's going on here. It's, you know, isn't it? It is. But, yeah, I think an artist would look at it and go, oh, yeah, there's a nice warm, fuzzy feeling about that. Yeah, it's emotion. This is like AI and emotion, and what there's more coming up. There's better ones coming up, actually, to this. Some quite funny ones. This is word association game. You can have a go at these in a minute. I'm gonna drop that one over to the side. It's slow. Come on. So somebody else said don't make it too obvious now. Not the direct meaning of the word, but let's give it something very sort of vague.
It's out of this world.
Right, sorry, I'll do that. Yeah, that's out of this world. Wasn't it?
Hopefully that confuses it between sun and moon.
Yeah. Is that the one you're thinking of, Kevin? But
no, I was going for sun there as opposed to moon, but I thought it would have confused it enough to the point where it wouldn't decide between the two.
Yeah, but it's good in making decisions.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Geoff, over the music that's playing there.
Alright, sorry. It's making decisions for itself. I can hear you guys. You shout away. Come on, give me thoughts. Come on. Paper here, right? Paper. Right, what word will we try and trick it with? What's word do you want to go? It's not a sunny day, it's going for cold. Anyway, guys, when we're finished talking, you can have a go at that. Let me see this. There's another one as well. It's quite smart. It's same idea. You have to do word association. And if you get a word associated right, it puts you down. Actually, it's done really good, didn't it? So next one is what am I doing? You scored points for me and try to go to the line. Okay, it's just my instructions. Next, the next thing is ship a C. Yep. Of a 8. Doing well here, aren't I? A machine strike. I'm getting top marks every time here, aren't I? 8 water. That on a streak. Shark fin. Motorcycle race. And it works well there, right? Not too bad. Elephant call. What a roll here, look at this. Books. Last you go the better. Bird song. Not too bad. Nice door. Something else. Oh, that's pretty good. Turn up parsnip. Little parsnip. Oh, and 3. Top of the list again, look at that. Oven. Sorry guys, I'm looking out here a bit. See the ship. Make that score, guys. What? That's not nice. How do you get to them? Game over. Beat that. It's quite smart, isn't it? Smarter than me. This one here. It's a weird one. It took me a while to figure out what this one was actually wanting me to do. But what it does is you play a bit of a chord or two, and it actually then complements. So listen, if you're into your music, excuse my chords. Yeah, it complements. It doesn't play the same thing, but it tries to complement it. As if I played the first line of a song and it plays the next line that would suit it. Oh, didn't like that one. Okay, end of the song. And this one here. Oh, keep holding control. I don't have to. I've really switched it off. What's this one? Oh, yes. Okay, so you enter text in here, right? And it then tries to work out the emotions, or what's not the word for it? Sentiment. Right, so the sentiment of that is neutral. If I go back, I have to refresh the page or something, go back and type in something here. Right. Segment. That's very positive, isn't it? Yeah, 98. I haven't actually gone through the steps. Let's see what it does. Enter the linking. Oh, links on Wikipedia. Start over. Right. So let's do something that's not so positive. But I'm trying to avoid, negative words, right? I have to work today. Now, as a human, we'd know that's probably you're not too excited about it. Students, right? So I'm trying to think that would maybe to a dumb AI would think a lot is big, is positive, right? But you know that if I had a lot of students, it's going to make more work for me, right? So I'm being negative here, yeah? What else could I say? Or, no, not talking about you guys, of course, but what can I say here? Students are hard work, would that do? That would sound positive, but obviously you know that's negative, yeah? We'll go for that. So try to make it negative, but not be very subtle about it, yeah? But let's see it happens. Okay, they've got it negative. Yeah, 0%. I presume is really negative. It's pretty smart, isn't it? And if I did all negative words, there's no negative words in there. Quite, like hard work is positive, lots of students is positive. I have to. Maybe I have to, maybe. Let's change that slightly.
Change hard work to hard working.
All right.
See if it'll change it.
Yeah. I'm going to copy that out again.
Well, it doesn't
I know we can't click on the box to get to the end, so let's start over. See if I can paste that in again. Right, what was that? So I have work today. Well, I have to have work today, and I have a lot. Oops. My students are hard working. Lots of work. I will mark later. Not great, is it? Yeah, probably. Just as soon as you mention I've worked today, it goes negative straight away. Yeah. This was a bit stupid, right? So you have to say something about your house, and then you have to do advice, do you? I'll bother that. I think I would like to read a book. I think I would like to read a book. That is a bit rubbish. This one, anyway. You can click on things to get there. Those things with the house, but it's not as fun as the other ones. But I wanted to see a few more too. I go to my home page. And don't worry, my emails now. It's not what I wanted to do. I want to go to my apps. Close your eyes. Oh, come on, where is it? Store pages, maybe.
Those are like the one with the Google, you know, like you ask Google the system, what's the crack? They'll reply to you with like a colloquial, you know, so they'll reply, I am grand. Or something
Yeah.
like that. That's pretty good.
Haven't tried it, Google much. Here's one, just one, guys. There's loads of ones here I could play around with, right? But this one here is quite good for this. So try it out. So there's one example. And it's positive, but if I enter text in here, so what was that we did earlier? I have to work today and I have a lot of students in my class. Says positives here. I have loads of marking to do. Yeah, it's not as positive now. Sure, it's not. Some of the students, as students, are hard work. Not you guys, of course. So that works. Yeah. And before we quit, one more. Close that. Find my Google Chrome. Where is it? Google Chrome, where are you? This setup from yesterday. I hope it's still there. Let's close all my pages. Right. It was called. There's a couple of apps I put on here. See if I remember what they are now. Oh, I could do, couldn't I?
Right.
There?
Yeah.
No, 7 tabs. Click on. Is that right? No. Why is it not clickable?
Maybe just go to the history at the top.
Alright, good idea. So there's Bjorn's Analyzer. It's one of them. Well, that's just taking me to it. This one here, maybe. Alright, so I pasted in a big website, about 16 pages or something. Do you know what it was, actually? It was feedback from COP26. Right? So I got a blog, right? Pasted it in, feedback from COP26. There's lots of stuff in there, some feedback from news relation, media, stuff like that, right? And I used Bjorn's Analyzer to analyze it rather than me having to read it all. And I can't remember where it is. Add-ons. Bjorn's Analyzer, here it is. Start. Watch this. It's very smart, so it is. But I've only got a 7-day trial, right? So English, it recognizes English, so that's a good start. It even has sentiment analysis, right? And it tells you all about it. But when you click this here, it analyzes the whole text. It gives you the emotion, the strength of the emotion and all the rest of it, and negative scores and stuff like that. Right. However, when you see this, I thought this was really cool. Right? If you visualize it, it takes each sort of sentence or paragraph and works out sort of a negative or positive score. Do you see that? So -1 would be really negative, right? Minus 0. That's a 10% negative, 40% positive, right? So if you scan down through it, there's quite a lot of negative scores. There's a pretty negative one that tells you what it was and who said it not. Excuse me. And why is some got a minus in front of it? Something happens. Why you I know some of them aren't really relevant, I know. and some of them give you positive scores for I'm in and things like that, and also looking forward to speaking tomorrow, stuff like that, you know, which you couldn't, you know, but looking at this as a reporter, if I had a bit of quick analysis to do before the news come on in 2 minutes time, I could say that, you know, overall the feeling today at the COP26 was quite negative, with a few positive comments from union leaders or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's pretty amazing, isn't it, what you can get out of it pretty quickly without reading the whole thing. Some guy, Mark Maslow, said the Brits are eager to take new climatarian debt. Oh, right, so we're not going to eat our steak anymore? Yeah. Not all of us are keen, Professor Mark. Some of us are, but steak and chips, hard to beat, isn't it? Sorry, any vegetarians listening. I'm 50 now, so it's going to take a while to change my diet. Oh dear. And beans don't have the environment any at all. They definitely produce more methane than anything else. But anyway, not get into that. So that was the Google thing. There's another thing in Google too. What was it now? Another add-on. I don't know if you messaged from Stuart. I'll have a nosy at my message in a minute. Word cloud generator and something else. There's another Google add-on that I played around with, and spreadsheet. I had to go to my Google Docs. Hold on. Don't worry, it's just not my Google. This is a setup for college stuff, so there's nothing in here to worry about. Just rubbish. Did I show you the cloud pictures last week, didn't I? I did. So this was an add-on that I put onto. I was playing around with this hot sheet, is it? Text analytics, that's what was there. I got it to work, but I can't remember how now. It sort of extracts text from data and makes the graphical input out of it. And that's for blockchain, that's for the hourglass. And it's similar, but then I found that the orange one is better. So I thought, that's even better again. It did a better job, but that was a bit nitpicky and fiddly to set up and stuff like that. So I'm showing you that, and showing you the Microsoft one. I think that's about it, folks. What does this say in Disney? That's all, folks. This is Stephanie showing us a few examples of how that analyzer works. Yeah. And then just a wee sort of evaluation of what the previous slide was about. Okay. And there's a link to getting started on Azure, but we need an Azure account. And it's coming soon, right? I've been promised this week that it should be activated. Phil sent me an email to say Microsoft said yes, you can get it, and now we just have to manage it and share it around our students. All right, so it's coming. We can use Azure soon. Pretty exciting stuff. Imagine we're teaching in the cloud now for a number of years, and we haven't been able to actually use the cloud. When we did at the start, we had that free account, but then they took it off us. Right, so there's a wee lab or read through, guys, if you want. Right, you can't do much with it until we get our Azure account working out, but it's there if you want to have a go at it. Okay, it's actually quite handy how the browser doesn't quite fill the page. Okay, I think there's a few more slides here. We'll just go through them, then I'll shut up. Speech to text is pretty bog standard nowadays, isn't it? Microsoft Word has a new feature in it now where you can just say what you want to say and it types it out for you. Right? So you click to dictate. I just want to write some notes for my machine learning class. Full stop. I think the notes could be rather boring. So maybe I need to add in some images as well and a few hyperlinks to websites that would help my students understand how machine learning works. Full stop. I need to remind my students that machine learning is actually a form of artificial intelligence. And even though I refer to it as machine learning all of the time, sometimes I'm really talking about artificial intelligence or AI. Full stop. What do you have badges now? Yeah. Now, way back when I was doing my degree and had to write, what do you call them, big long essays, I bought a software package because I couldn't type. As you can see, my typing skills aren't very good there from earlier on. You know, one hand always goes before the other hand, and I spell students STUDNET all the time because my brain can't get the two fingers to work properly. And I bought this program, and it was this dragon speech, it was called, and it worked fairly well, but you had to say each word separately, right? And it didn't make sentences up, but as you can see there, I got faster as I was reading those sentences, and Microsoft Word kept up with me and made sense out of it. And actually, there was no grammar or typos there at all, I don't think. Yeah, it just said everything. It didn't put any extra words in, sure didn't it? I didn't say. No, it's fine, isn't it? Yeah. So the modern version of it is actually very, very slick. So I use it sometimes now, even for writing notes and stuff. And it's quite handy. You can sit back and you don't get RSI. You can just talk to your Word document. So any sort of essays I have to write now or any reports, I use this quite a lot. So it's very, very good. They are just showing off a few products from Microsoft. We should get sponsored by them. Text to speech is pretty good getting as well, isn't it? Alexa can talk back to you. Right? It used to be very robotic, but now it's quite synthesized and made more human. And even in your GPS or your car or whatever, you can choose different voices, and it's actually quite humane, maybe, nearly, almost. Which is the best one? Which is the most human voice? It's disabled. Cortana's is quite good. Google's is not bad either. Alexa's is pretty good also. Siri, what's Siri like? To listen to Siri, I was going to say she, is it good? Does it have an American accent? Is it hard to listen to?
You can customize the voices on Siri.
Yeah. And
I think it picks up and learns from you very quickly. I don't have an iPhone, so I'm not sure.
Okay, it maybe makes its accent the same as yours then. That's interesting. Has any of you got an iPhone, no? Have I got these all converted to Android, have I? Amazing. When I get a new group of students in, that's what, and he's got a smartphone, and he's still using an iPhone. Wind some of them up, especially the level 3s, because they're coming into their class with their new iPhone, and thinking they're the best. Anyway, so speech service provides a speech to text API that you can use to implement text recognition functionality. This is like an API running behind the scenes, so you can pull data from it, and then the text to speech API can produce the audio. So it's using API technology behind the scenes. You're going to learn more about API next year, although we don't have the API unit anymore. We've rebranded it Distributed Apps, but that's how they talk to each other. So it's like API modernized, if you like, already. And then you just learn Microsoft document. It's sort of similar to this speech recognition, how it works. And you can't do it because we don't have Azure. But when we get our Azure, we'll do this. Okay. Yeah. Maybe you can do one. There's maybe a sandbox for this. No, you need your Azure account. hopefully soon. I'm going to keep asking Phil about it. I do ask him every week, but we need it. We need it. We need it. We're going to get to go deploy labs for AI 900, but we thought if we had Azure, we don't need them, so that's what we're working on.
What sort of format is the exam going to be? Because I'm just trying to think in terms of practicality of time to do these labs, because we're probably about 2 months away from the exam itself. Is it going to be, what's the benefit and the end goal of it? Or are we going to be tested on how to actually set a lot of this stuff up in Azure?
No, the exam's purely based around the theory and the stuff you're learning in the PowerPoints, right? There's no questions that I can think of. I need to double check around setting up any of the labs. So there's no real educational benefit from the labs. It's just more interest. All right. So once you get your assignments done, you could leave out all the labs, but it's just interest and see how it works. All right. But no, the theory, it's all theory based. There's no like need to do a lab to understand any of the questions in the exam. But I need to double check that. I need to read through the exam again. And there's 20 questions, multiple choice at the start, and then the rest of them are all sort of based around, types of machine learning and how it works. And NLP is actually in the exam as well, and how the algorithms work and all that stuff about setting it up and supervised and unsupervised and stuff like that. All right. But I'll give you more of a heads up. And we're going to give you a revision list, haven't I? Did you see that in the chat, did you, last week? Didn't I put a revision list up for machine learning, didn't I? No? Or was it just cloud development, was it? I think I've dropped a revision list in for machine learning as well, Kevin.
I'll double check.
If you look in the notes section, I made it, and I intended to put it up there, but maybe I forgot. Check in the notes section and see. So the labs are only fun playgrounds to enjoy what we're learning. Is that all right? I would recommend them once we get Azure set up, because they are interesting. Find them now. $27 gigabytes of data, Stuart. It's amazing.
Oh no, it's not 27, it's just 2.7.
Sorry, 2.7, can't read. That's bad enough, but 2.7 gigs.
It's still downloading here, so I don't know what exactly it is, but...
Well, not we want to know what your data is, but just the sort of what it's, what it's about would be interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see what it is. Still downloading.
All right, let us know. So in your files section, revision list machine learning 2021. See there, Kevin? It's in the class materials and machine learning section.
Cheers.
There's a folder called Extra Notes and Labs. What's that all about? With Juniper Labs and all that sort of stuff. We never really get into that much either, but here we'll work through our PowerPoints first and see what time's like. All right. But there should be enough in the PowerPoints to answer all the questions in the exam, but I'll double check that. Okay. But we based the exam around the PowerPoint notes. Okay. I know Stephanie's making another PowerPoint about neural networks, and we might need that before the exam. I don't know if she's got it ready or not, but I'll ask her and see when I see her. All right. So what time is it now, Emma? 11:15. Did I talk all that time, did I? Oh boy.